Okay, biologists, welcome back to class. So in this video, we're going to talk about how we breathe. So start with our amphibian. So like this frog here, it breathes by positive pressure breathing. Positive pressure is going to push air. So it draws air in through its nares, through its nostrils, lowers its oral cavity, makes its pouch filled with air, and then pushes that air down. It closes its mouth and pushes that air down. So air is forced down. In a bird, they have this kind of cool respiratory get up going on. So they have two different air sacs, this posterior air sac and this anterior air sacs that act like bellows. So bellows is this kind of thing that you like push and contract and expand and it pushes air through it. So when they breathe, they have two cycles of inhalation and exhalation. They're going to breathe in, which is going to pull air back to their posterior air sacs. Then breathe out, which pushes air into their lungs using these air sacs acting like the bellows, pushing that air into the lungs. Then they breathe in, which brings air into their anterior air sacs, and they breathe out, which lets the air go back out of their body. So the air is only going through their lungs in one direction. It's not coming in and out. It's only going through in one direction. And that does require two cycles of inhalation and exhalation, and that makes it very efficient in their breathing. We breathe by negative air pressure. So opposed to the frog that makes a pouch and pushes it down, we are kind of more like suck air into our body, using both pressures created by the rib muscles and by the diaphragm. And usually this inhalation process is active and the exhalation process is more of a passive. So when you inhale, the rib cage expands. So here, see these muscles are moving out and up. This diaphragm moves downward. That creates a larger area here. In that larger space, that means there's more pressure, just like you're pulling open a balloon. There's this decreased pressure inside of it, so air is drawn down. In exhalation, your rib cage contracts, the diaphragm moves upwards, and the pressure around the lungs increases. Just like you're now squeezing that balloon, the air moves out. Okay, what if an injury tore a small hole in your membrane surrounding your lungs? What effect on lung function would you expect? So go back here thinking about this as a balloon. If you had a small hole in that balloon, what would happen? Would you be able to create that sort of pressure? You are able to hold your breath. So if you try right now, you are able to hold your breath and control your breathing a little bit. But most of your breathing is involuntary. I imagine you haven't spent your day, brushing your teeth, watching this video, driving to work, whatever you're doing, actively thinking, breathe in, breathe out. It's involuntary. You're able to keep breathing even when you're not paying attention to it, even when you're doing other things. And that allows you to keep up with getting enough oxygen as your metabolic need requires you to. And your medulla oblongata, so here's your brain, here's your medulla oblongata here on the brain stem at the base of your brain, controls your respiration. And it's kind of cool how it's able to do it. It uses the pH of your blood and your cerebrospinal fluid to indicate how much carbon dioxide is in your blood. So carbon dioxide will react with the water in your blood, the water in your cerebrospinal fluid, and when it does that, it produces acid. Producing acid lowers the pH, and that gives a signal to the medulla oblongata. There's too much carbon dioxide here. There's lots of acid being created. There must be too much carbon dioxide. That means that we need to get this carbon dioxide out. That means we need to get some oxygen in. So when that pH drops, it signals to the medulla oblongata to increase the rate of your breathing, increase the depth of your breathing. To be able to tell what the pH is, there are sensory neurons in your major blood vessels in the heart. So in your carotid arteries, those sensory neurons are detecting those changes in the pH. And the medulla oblongata detecting the changes in the pH to signal that it's time to breathe more, breathe deeper, breathe faster. How does an increase in the carbon dioxide concentration in the blood affect the pH of the cerebrospinal fluid? Pause and write down your answer. And then we're going to watch a couple of videos.
Whether you're racing in a triathlon or doing something less strenuous, you need to breathe in oxygen to help you get energy. And breathe out carbon dioxide, a waste product. When you inhale, your diaphragm and rib muscles contract, increasing the volume of your lungs. When you exhale, these muscles relax, decreasing the volume of the lungs. When the lungs expand, air pressure in the lungs drops, causing air to flow into the lungs. When lung volume decreases, air pressure increases, causing air to flow out of the lungs.
Okay, and then one more.
Air enters the nose or mouth, moves down the trachea, and goes into the two bronchi. Air moves down smaller and smaller bronchioles until it reaches a tiny sac, an alveolus. Each alveolus is surrounded by capillaries. Oxygen diffuses from the alveolus to the blood, and carbon dioxide diffuses from the blood to the alveolus. As blood flows through the capillary, it becomes rich in oxygen. In the blood, oxygen diffuses into a red blood cell and binds to hemoglobin, a protein made up of 4 subunits. One oxygen molecule can bind to each subunit. Oxygen-rich blood flows from the lungs to the heart. Which pumps this blood to capillaries all over the body. Here, we see oxygen diffusing from a capillary's red blood cells into a muscle cell. Oxygen is used by the cell's mitochondria to produce ATP during cellular respiration. Carbon dioxide is released. How does carbon dioxide leave the body? Carbon dioxide diffuses from cells into capillaries. Some carbon dioxide stays in the plasma, the liquid part of the blood. Most carbon dioxide, however, enters red blood cells. Some carbon dioxide binds to hemoglobin. The rest is converted to bicarbonate, which diffuses into the plasma. This oxygen-poor blood flows back to the heart, which pumps it to the lungs. There, carbon dioxide diffuses from the plasma into the alveolus. Bicarbonate enters red blood cells and is converted back to carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is also released from hemoglobin. Carbon dioxide diffuses out of the red blood cells into the plasma and into the alveolus. When you exhale, air flows out of your lungs.
All right. So when you hold your breath, which of the following blood gas changes first leads to the urge to breathe? What is going to send that signal that you need to breathe more? Is it rising oxygen, falling oxygen, rising carbon dioxide, falling carbon dioxide, or a combination of rising carbon dioxide and falling oxygen? What signals to the medulla oblongata you need to breathe? All right, we're almost done with this chapter, so I'll see you back in a little bit to continue our discussion. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye.